Who were the Romani people? So I have spoken about the Romani people in the past, but it's been a while. It's been quite a while that I've spoken about the Romani people, and I'm sure there are lots of new viewers on the channel who are not aware of what I've said in the past about the Romani people. So let's take this question all over again a priori. Who were the Romani people? What was their relation to ancient and medieval India? Were they part of the slave trade of Turkic invaders of Central Asia? How did they reach Europe? Was it through crusades? The trade of Slavs as slaves originating with slavery or any? I mean, you're trying to put in everything in there. What role did they play in Europe? How and why were they persecuted by Adolf Hitler's Holocaust policies? Um, Tell their persecution and survival story like that of the Jews. No, it's very different from the Jews. Very, very, very different. And can you mention a few prominent Romani people? Okay, the Romani people. Let's begin with some prominent Romani people, shall we? Let's ask Google. Famous Romani people. Famous Romani people. So let's take a look at this. Charlie Chaplin, Romani. Ian Hancock, Yul Brynner, very famous actor. Michael Costello, Rita Hayworth, very famous Hollywood actress. Alba Flores. Alba Flores, in case you don't know, she the Spanish actress who plays the role of Nairobi or something in Money Heist or something. Jesus Castro, Michael Caine. There's way more. List of Romani people. Okay, let's see here. What about artists? Sandra Hiat, boxers, footballers. Oh, so many. Ricardo Quaresma, Freddie Eastwood, of course. Eric Cantona, very mercurial, very famous French footballer. One of the all-time greats. One of the all-time great footballers for Manchester United. Eric Cantona. Where is Christos Stoichkov? EFGH. Okay, Christos Stoichkov is missing from here. What about Rita Hayworth, very famous Hollywood actress? Yul Brynner, once again, very famous, great Hollywood actor. Bob Hoskins, one of the greats. Charlie Chaplin, I mean, I don't have to introduce who that is to you, right? Musicians, Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin, my God. I mean, in his youth, he used to look like a Viking with his blonde hair and blue eyes, but he's of Romani origin. Bireli Laren, Aziz, I mean, the list just goes on and on. So, I mean, so many. Talat Pasha, who will discuss later today. Talat Pasha, one of the members of the Turkish triumvirate, the Young Turks triumvirate, the three pashas, and so much more. Okay, so these are some of the famous Romani people. I'm sure I've missed a lot of these names. A lot of the names. Andrea Pirlo, one of the great Italian footballers. Yes, Andrea Pirlo. Hristos Stoichkov, a Croatian footballer who took his country to the semi-finals of the 1996 Football World Cup. He scored a free kick against Germany, a left-footed curling free kick that went into the right corner, because that's why it live, and so much more. So now, that's a small number of examples of famous Romani people. Now, who are these Romani people? Romani people are of Indian origin. They are a very badly persecuted class of people in Europe. Now, let's talk about their history. What are Indian origin people doing in Europe? And now they're all across the world. Okay. But they were in the past 1000 years living in Europe. How did they end up in Europe? Indian origin people. So there are various theories. We know for sure that they are of Indian origin. Their genetics are unmistakably, unambiguously what they call Indo-Aryan. Okay, whatever that means. Genetically, they are very closely related to the people of Western and Northern and Western India, Gujarat, Sindh, Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab, these regions. Okay, the Romani people are most closely related to the people of these modern Indian states. The Romani language is classified as a pure Indo-Aryan language. And if you look at Romani people, many of them look very, very Indian. Alba Flores, for example. Okay, let's see Alba Flores. Alba Flores, Spanish actress. I mean, she's Spanish, but I mean, take a look at her. If she's walking around in a street in India, nobody's gonna think she's a foreigner, right? Alba Flores, and yeah, so many other examples. So they look very clearly Indian. They speak an Indian, Western Indian origin language. Their genetics are unambiguously Indian. So how did they end up in Europe? And there are multiple theories. So the first Romani person to get a PhD, to earn a PhD, is Dr. Ian Hancock, who wrote the book "We Are the Romani People," which I have recommended multiple times. And according to him, according to Dr. Ian Hancock, the Romani people are of Rajputic origin. That's what he says. So what's it mean? It means that they were the descendants of warriors, the Rajputs of Western India. And maybe they were enslaved by the Turks. And maybe the Turks took too many slaves and then they released some of them and forced them to go westwards into Europe rather than go back eastwards into India. That's one theory. Another theory is obviously going to be similar, that whether or not they were of Rajput origin, they were of Western and Northern Indian origin. And we know that the Turks took millions of Indians as slaves. The Ghoris and the Ghaznavis and so on. And they would take the slaves, Indian slaves, mainly, women and children, but also males who were skilled artisans and craftsmen and architects and musicians and whatnot. And they would take them across what is now called the Hindu Kush Mountains, which killed lots of Hindus. That's why it's called the Hindu Kush Mountains. And they would be sold in the slave markets of Samarkand, Bukhara, etc. in Central Asia. And it's possible that maybe the Turks took way too many slaves that they could accommodate. And then instead of massacring them on Turkic soil, they maybe decided that, what, we will release them, but we will not allow them to go back to India. We will force them to go westwards. And that's how these people eventually ended up in Europe. And the past 1,000 or so years, they have been in Europe. And initially, the people of Europe regarded them as descendants of Egyptians. Egyptians became Gypsies, right? So that's why they are called the Gypsies, because the Europeans initially believed that they were of Egyptian origin. And in Europe, they have faced terrible, horrific persecution for the past 1,000 years. Much worse persecution than the Jews have faced. The Romanis have been enslaved. The Romanis have been massacred. The Romanis have been genocided. The Romanis, even in the best of situations and circumstances, have been treated like outcasts and second class, not even second class citizens, non-citizens, not allowed to assimilate, not allowed to live within society as a distinct ethnic group, forced to live on the margins and fringes of society. Many of them were forcibly assimilated into European society by being made to lose their ethnic and cultural identity. The Romanis, wherever they went, they had to adopt the local religion. So if you look at Turkey, for example, today, which is at the crossroads between what's apparently the line between Europe and Asia. If you see Turkey, at least 5% of Turkey's population is of Romani origin. And they're all Muslims, all of them. Many of them, are various kinds of skilled craftspeople. Many of them are high quality musicians and so much more. Then you have lots, about maybe 10% possibly of Romania's population is of Romani or Gypsy origin. And they are very badly persecuted there. So what happens is that, you take a bunch of people, you force them to live on the fringes of society. You don't allow them to play a proper role in society. So you force them on the margins. You don't allow them to have a proper occupation, gainful occupation. You don't allow them to be a regular part of society. You make sure that they have no source of income. You make sure that they have no citizenship. So what will these people do? How will they ensure that there is food on the table? Eventually, they will have to turn to criminal behavior. So then you will stereotype them as criminals. And that's what's done in Europe. The Romani people are stereotyped as criminals and petty thieves and whatnot. And there's this tremendous stigma and bias against them. Whichever country the Romani people live in, the police are especially harsh on them. In many countries, they don't even have citizenship documents. They live in wandering caravans and so on. And in some countries, they have been able to assimilate better. while maintaining a distinct identity. See, there's two kinds of assimilation. One kind of assimilation is that when a group of people is made to forcibly lose their identity and assimilate. So you are the Romani people, you have to give up your language, you stop speaking your language, you stop practicing your religion, you stop calling yourselves Romani, you marry among the locals and become white. That is the erasure of identity. That's been attempted on the Romanis. And another kind of assimilation is where you are allowed to become an integral part of society, to play an integral role in society like all other people, but you're allowed to maintain a distinct identity. For example, if you look at France today, you have Algerian origin French people who maintain a distinct identity. We are Algerians, we are Muslims, but we are also French. If you look at the United Kingdom, you have Bangladeshi and Pakistani origin Muslims who retain their Bangladeshi and Pakistani identity. We are Bangladeshi origin people, we are Pakistani origin, we are Muslims, and then we are British. So you see, they are playing a central role in society. They are not on the fringes, on the margins of society, but they maintain their distinct identity. That has never been allowed for the Romani people. Never. In some countries, they've been able to, they've had better luck. For example, like I said, Turkey. In Turkey, they have been allowed to, quietly keep their Romani identity as long as they convert to Islam, and as long as they don't shout from the rooftops that we are different. So in Turkey, the Romani are actually treated kind of better than the Romani are treated in Europe, as long as they convert to Islam, which they have all converted, and as long as they don't claim to be a separate entity, as long as they say that we are Turks, there's no problem. In Spain, the Romani are kind of better off compared to other countries. You may have heard of the Spanish national music, flamenco music, Spain's national dance, the flamenco dance. It's not Spanish, it's Romani. Okay? Spaniards did not invent flamenco music or flamenco dance. The Romani people invented it. One of the most prominent forms of jazz in the world is gypsy jazz. One of the greatest of the gypsy jazz guitarists was Django Reinhardt. What does Django mean? Let me show you. Django Reinhardt, one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Django Reinhardt, okay? He played with only two fingers because he had lost the use of two fingers, the last two fingers of his hand, in a fire accident. And despite playing with only two fingers, he was one of the greatest guitarists of all time. As you can see, he looks very Indian. His name was Django. It actually means Jago. What does Jago mean? It means wake up. I think we all understand that, right? Jago. So that became Django. It became Europeanized. Yeah. And so the Romanis have been great musicians. Robert Plant is one of the greatest vocalists in rock music of all time. Django Reinhardt, one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Birelli Lagrène, another great guitarist who is a contemporary of ours. So many great musicians, so many great actors. Rita Hayworth, Charlie Chaplin, Yul Brynner, so many great singers. Elvis Presley, presidents of the United States. There is a Romani origin president of the United States. His name is William Blythe. Have you heard of William Blythe? Let me show you. William Blythe. William Blythe. Okay, William Blythe III. Bill Clinton. What was his name at birth? He was born what? Let's see. He was born William Jefferson Blythe III. Okay. His father is William Jefferson Blythe Jr. What's his background? English and Scottish. The Blythe family is a prominent gypsy family in England. See, you will find a lot of erasure of gypsy identity. because many people did it voluntarily because they were afraid of being outed as being gypsy, because then it will bring a lot of stigma against them. So they would try to hide their gypsy identity. That's why lots of famous people haven't confirmed that they are gypsy, even though it's known that they are gypsy, that sort of thing. So that's kind of the story of the Romani people, Indian origin people. A lot of them have assimilated through blood, through intermarriage, etc., and they've become almost white. A former president of Brazil also was of Romani origin, and there's Romani origin people all across the world today. Many of them may not be aware of their ancestry. Many of them would be aware of it. They would try to hide it, and some of them are proud of it, especially in Spain and some parts of Europe, where being gypsy, being of Romani origin, as long as you are a famous and rich person, is kind of regarded as cool, perhaps to some extent, especially if you are very rich, like some flamenco dancers and so on. So that's kind of the thing. And now about what happened to the Romanis compared to what happened to the Jews. The Nazis tried to exterminate the Romanis. The Nazis tried to exterminate the Romanis just like the same way they tried to exterminate the Jews. Okay, so but the Jewish persecution is celebrated or remembered across the world as the Holocaust. But what happened to the Romani people is suppressed. There is this guy called Eli Wiesel or whatever. Okay, let's see his name. Eli Wiesel. This fellow. Okay, Romanian born, American, etc. Blah blah blah. Holocaust survivor. Now, what about the let's see. Romani publicized. Okay, so this is now being suppressed. What he did, this fellow Eli Wiesel, is being suppressed. See, Wikipedia no longer has references to that. Romani denial. Okay, let's see. Not Romania, Romani denial. Eli Wiesel did not deny the Romani. Very funny. I don't trust any of these stupid AI systems. He tried his best. See, there was this Holocaust memorial that was, a Holocaust memorial was supposed to be built in the United States or something, and many people wanted the massacres and the genocide of the Romani people also to be included in that, and this guy was against that. So he was like, the Holocaust is only for the Jews. What the Nazis did was only for the Jews, and we must not remember what happened to the Romanis. We don't exactly know how many Romani were killed by the Germans, by the Nazis. Possibly over 1 million. And what is this called? So the Nazis have, so the Jews have something called the Holocaust of the Romani. What is that called? Romani Holocaust. It's called the Porajmos, right? Porajmos. Not sure what it means. It's called the Porajmos. That's the Romani Holocaust. It was also called the Kali Thras or something. Kali Thras. Yeah, Romani Holocaust. I think all Indians can understand what this term means. So the Nazis tried to exterminate the Romani, even though the Romani were actually more Aryan than the Nazis. So yeah, that's the story of the Romani people. And today they are still persecuted horribly in many parts of Europe. In very civilized parts of Europe. They are not even second-class citizens. They are non-citizens in many places. They are not even allowed to have citizenship documents. And that is what democratic Europe that lectures the world about human rights does to the Romani people who have been living there for 1,000 years. Anyhow, that is the story of the Romani people.